when people hear the word cancer. The first emotion that comes is fear, because we've been taught that cancer is some kind of monster that comes out of nowhere, suddenly attacks, and leaves us helpless. But the truth is very different. Cancer doesn't just appear one day. It takes years, sometimes even decades, to develop. And in that long time, your body keeps giving you small signs, small warnings. You just don't notice them because we've normalized so many unhealthy things in our daily life that by the time cancer shows up, we call it bad luck. But it's not bad luck, it's a process. And just like it has a process to develop, it also has a process to die. What I'm about to tell you is not a miracle cure, not some pill, not some overnight fix. It's something far more powerful, something that works with your body, not against it. See your body as a self-healing system. Every single day, it's repairing, rebuilding, regenerating. The problem is we keep interrupting that process with our lifestyle. The good news is when you stop doing the wrong things and start doing the right ones, your body doesn't just stop cancer, it starts to reverse the environment that cancer needs to survive. That's what I mean when I say cancer dies when you do this. Now, I want you to think about this for a moment. Every cell in your body has a purpose. It takes nutrients, uses oxygen, produces energy, and then dies off when it's old. But a cancer cell, it's like a rebel. It doesn't follow the rules. It keeps dividing, keeps growing, doesn't die when it should. And the question is, what makes it act like that? Why does one cell suddenly go rogue? The answer lies in your environment, not just external, but internal. The food you eat, the thoughts you think, the stress you hold, all of this creates a certain chemistry inside your body. And that chemistry decides whether your cells will stay healthy or turn cancerous. Let's talk science for a second. Cancer cells have one major weakness. They depend almost entirely on glucose for fuel. They can't survive without it. Your normal cells are flexible. They can use glucose, but they can also use fat as an energy source. Cancer cells can't. They lack the metabolic machinery to burn fat. So when your diet is constantly supplying sugar and refined carbohydrates, you're basically feeding the cancer cells, giving them unlimited energy to grow and multiply. And the more sugar, the faster they grow. That's why when I say cancer dies when you do this, what I really mean is when you stop feeding it. When you stop giving it what it needs the most, sugar, processed food, constant snacking, you start starving it. And when cancer is starved, it weakens, it loses its power. You see, this isn't a theory, this is basic biochemistry. Every time you eat sugar, your blood glucose spikes, insulin goes up, and that insulin acts like a growth signal. It tells cells to grow. That's fine for normal cells, but for cancer cells, it's dangerous. You're telling them to multiply faster. Now imagine what happens when you lower insulin, when you go long hours without eating, when you cut sugar, when you reduce carbs, insulin drops. And suddenly, that growth signal stops. Cancer no longer has the fuel or the command to grow. This is why fasting and low-carb diets have become such powerful tools in healing and prevention. It's not magic. It's how the body is designed to heal when you stop interfering. Let me give you an example. Think of your body as a garden. Healthy soil produces healthy plants. But if the soil is full of toxins, too much fertilizer, not enough sunlight, everything starts to rot. Cancer is like the weed that grows in that neglected soil. You don't have to fight the weed directly, you have to fix the soil. Once the soil becomes healthy, the weeds die naturally. Your body works the same way. You fix the terrain, not just attack the symptom. And when the terrain is right, cancer can't survive in it. Now, people ask me, Dr. Berg, why do some people get cancer even when they don't eat junk or smoke? The answer again lies in the environment, stress, poor sleep, vitamin deficiencies, and chronic inflammation. These all play a role in how your body handles cellular damage. Remember, your body creates cancer cells every single day. Yes, every day, but your immune system finds them and destroys them before they become a problem. The issue begins when your immune system is weak, when your lifestyle keeps it suppressed. So, the real key to making cancer die is not just one food, not one supplement, not one medicine. It's about shifting your internal environment so that cancer simply cannot live in it. You create a body chemistry where cancer starves, where it suffocates, where it loses its power to grow. That's the focus. And that's what most people miss. They look for external cures when the real cure lies in what you stop doing and what you start allowing your body to do naturally. When you take away the things that fuel disease, sugar processed oils, chronic stress, constant eating, you allow your body to reset. And when that happens, inflammation goes down, immune function goes up, and your cells start communicating properly again. That's when real healing begins. And cancer, which was once thriving, starts losing ground. So in simple terms, when you stop feeding the enemy, you let your army win. Your body is not your enemy, it's your ally. You just have to support it, not overload it. This entire process doesn't require expensive treatments or complicated science. It just requires understanding how your body works. When we talk about cancer, we have to start with one fundamental fact. Cancer cells are addicted to sugar. They cannot survive without glucose. It's their lifeline. Every single time you eat refined carbs, sugary snacks, bread, pasta, rice, even fruit juices, you are providing that fuel. And unlike your normal, healthy cells, which can switch between sugar and fat for energy, cancer cells have lost that ability. They rely almost entirely on glucose to grow and reproduce. So if you remove sugar from your diet, you're not just eating healthier, you are literally cutting off the oxygen supply to cancer cells. Now, let's look at what happens inside your body. When you eat sugar, your blood glucose rises. Your pancreas releases insulin to bring that sugar into the cells. But insulin isn't just a sugar regulator, it's a growth hormone. It tells your cells grow, divide, multiply. That's why people with chronically high insulin levels, often due to frequent eating, snacking, or high carb diets, end up creating an environment where abnormal cells can grow faster. Cancer loves insulin. It thrives on it. The higher your insulin levels, the more cancer-friendly your body becomes. Most people don't realize how often they keep their insulin levels high. They think, I don't eat sweets, so I'm fine. But they're eating cereal for breakfast, sandwiches at lunch, rice for dinner, fruit smoothies, and snacks all day long. Every meal spikes insulin. And when you eat every few hours, your insulin never comes down. Your body stays in a constant growth mode. That's like leaving the door wide open for cancer cells to come in and set up camp. But when you switch to eating fewer meals, let's say 2 meals a day, maybe even 1, your insulin starts to drop. And when insulin goes down, your body goes into fat burning mode. This is where the real magic happens, because when your body starts burning fat, it produces ketones. Ketones are an alternative energy source that your healthy cells can easily use, but cancer cells cannot. They simply don't have the enzymes to use ketones for fuel. This means your normal cells stay strong, but your cancer cells starve. That's how powerful this shift is. Think of it like this. Cancer is like a parasite. It needs a specific food source to live. If you stop providing that food, it weakens and eventually dies. By keeping your sugar and insulin levels low, you're not fighting the cancer directly, you're taking away what it needs to survive. This is why intermittent fasting and low carb, high fat diets, like the ketogenic diet, are being studied so extensively. They don't target cancer with chemicals or radiation. They change the environment inside your body so that cancer can't grow. Now, let's talk about why sugar is so dangerous in the first place. When your blood sugar is high, it doesn't just feed cancer, it also damages proteins, oxidizes cells, and triggers inflammation. This creates a vicious cycle. Inflammation makes insulin resistance worse. Insulin resistance keeps your sugar high, and high sugar feeds cancer. It's a perfect storm. Breaking this cycle means bringing insulin back to normal, and that's done by controlling what and when you eat. If you look at traditional diets of people who have the lowest cancer rates, they eat whole foods, they don't snack, they don't eat refined carbohydrates, and they often go long hours between meals. Fasting isn't new, it's ancient. Our ancestors naturally fasted because food wasn't available 24/7. Their bodies were used to switching between glucose and fat for energy. Today, we've lost that ability. We're constantly eating from the moment we wake up to the time we sleep. That constant feeding keeps insulin high and gives cancer everything it wants. Let's say you start intermittent fasting, maybe 16 hours of fasting, 8 hours of eating. What happens? In those fasting hours, your body burns through stored glucose and then shifts to fat burning. Ketones rise, insulin drops, inflammation decreases, and your immune system starts to repair. Cancer cells suddenly find themselves in a hostile environment. No glucose, no insulin spikes, no growth signals. They begin to slow down. Over time, they can't survive that metabolic stress. There's also a misconception that you'll feel weak without sugar. That's not true. Once your body adapts to burning fat, your energy becomes stable. You don't get those afternoon crashes, you don't crave junk, and your mental clarity improves. In fact, ketones are a more efficient and cleaner fuel for the brain. Cancer, on the other hand, gets weaker because it can't handle the clean fuel. It's like switching your house from a dirty generator to solar energy. The power is steady, clean, and sustainable. The other benefit of cutting sugar is that your immune system starts working properly again. When your blood sugar is high, your white blood cells, the ones that fight infection and destroy abnormal cells, become sluggish. Their ability to attack cancer cells drops dramatically. But when you keep your sugar low, these immune cells become sharp, active, and alert. They start identifying and destroying cancer cells more effectively. So you're not just starving the cancer, you're also strengthening your defense system at the same time. You see, the power is in your hands. Every single meal you eat either feeds the disease or fights it. When you choose real food, vegetables, healthy fats, clean proteins, and give your body time between meals, you're sending a strong message to your cells. We're not in growth mode anymore. We're in healing mode. That one change flips the entire script of your biology. It's fascinating how something so simple, controlling sugar, can make such a massive difference. Yet most people underestimate it because it sounds too easy. But easy doesn't mean ineffective. It's just nature's design. Your body was never built to process the amount of sugar modern diets contain. By returning to how your body is designed to function, you're giving it the environment to heal, to repair, and to destroy what doesn't belong, including cancer cells. So remember, the more you control sugar and insulin, the less chance you give cancer to survive. Cancer is not a random punishment. It's a reflection of the environment inside your body. Change that environment, and you change the outcome. When you stop feeding cancer with sugar, your body needs another source of energy, and that's where fat comes in. Your body is incredibly smart. It can shift from burning sugar to burning fat when glucose is low. This natural switch is called ketosis. In ketosis, your liver starts producing something called ketones from fat, and these ketones become your main energy fuel. Here's where it gets really interesting. Your normal, healthy cells love ketones. They use them efficiently, cleanly, and they thrive on them. But cancer cells, they absolutely hate ketones. They can't use them for fuel because their mitochondria, the powerhouses inside cells, are damaged. And without functional mitochondria, they can't process ketones. That means when you're in ketosis, your healthy cells get stronger while cancer cells start to starve. Now think about that. Instead of attacking the body with harsh chemicals or radiation, what if we simply change the fuel source? When you eat low-carb, high-fat meals, your body starts burning stored fat for energy. Insulin levels drop and your entire metabolic system resets. Cancer cells that depend on glucose suddenly find themselves in crisis. They can't adapt fast enough and they begin to die off. It's a natural, a biological way to turn the tables. You change the terrain inside your body so that only healthy cells can survive and cancer cells can't. Let's take this a bit deeper. Ketones aren't just an alternative fuel, they're also signaling molecules. That means they communicate with your genes. They tell your body to reduce inflammation, improve antioxidant activity, and protect brain and nerve cells. This is one of the reasons why people on a ketogenic diet often report clearer thinking, better mood, and more stable energy. But here's the fascinating part. Those same mechanisms that protect your brain also make it harder for cancer to spread because inflammation and oxidative stress are two key factors that help cancer grow and invade new tissues. Ketones help shut that down. There's another layer to this. When your body runs on sugar, it constantly produces waste, like smoke coming from a dirty engine. That waste is what we call free radicals. They damage DNA, disrupt cell communication, and trigger chronic inflammation, all of which create the perfect environment for cancer. When you shift to fat and ketones, your energy production becomes cleaner. You produce fewer free radicals, your mitochondria get stronger, and your cells start to function the way they're meant to. It's like changing your body's energy system from a polluting factory to a clean solar plant. People often ask me, but Dr. Berg, won't eating fat make me fat? Absolutely not. That's a myth. It's not dietary fat that causes fat storage, it's insulin. When insulin is high, your body stores fat. When insulin is low, your body burns fat. So by lowering your carbs and eating healthy fats like avocado, olive oil, coconut oil, nuts, and grass-fed butter, you're not only fueling your cells with clean energy, but you're also burning off the excess fat that's been stored. It's a double benefit. You're healing your metabolism and depriving cancer cells of their preferred food source at the same time. Now, here's something even more powerful. When you stay in ketosis long enough, your cells become metabolically flexible. That means your body learns how to efficiently switch between using glucose and fat depending on availability. Cancer cells don't have that flexibility. They're stuck on sugar. So when you enter ketosis, you gain an advantage that cancer cells simply can't match. They become weak, slow, and vulnerable. And in this weakened state, your immune system, specifically your natural killer cells, can recognize and destroy them more easily. There are also studies showing that being in a ketogenic state makes cancer treatments like chemotherapy and radiation more effective. Why? Because healthy cells in ketosis are protected, They become stronger and less damaged by treatment, while cancer cells, already starved and stressed, become more sensitive and easier to destroy. So even if someone chooses medical treatment, combining it with a low-carb, high-fat, intermittent fasting approach enhances the body's natural defenses and improves outcomes. Another benefit of ketosis is its effect on your hormones. High-carb diets cause insulin spikes, but they also mess up other hormones: cortisol, estrogen, thyroid, even growth hormone. Many cancers, especially breast and prostate cancers, are hormone sensitive. When insulin goes down and fat burning goes up, those hormone imbalances start to normalize. Estrogen dominance, for example, begins to correct itself because the liver can now process and eliminate excess hormones effectively. That's another reason why fat burning and fasting are so powerful together. They restore hormonal balance, which in turn reduces cancer risk. Let's not forget about the brain. The brain runs beautifully on ketones. When your brain gets ketones instead of sugar, mental clarity increases, focus improves, and mood stabilizes. But cancer cells in the brain, like in glioblastoma, find it much harder to survive when glucose is scarce. There are researchers right now studying ketogenic diets as a supportive therapy for brain cancer, and the results are incredibly promising. It's not a cure, but it's a strategy that makes your body less welcoming to disease. Another thing about ketosis, it doesn't just burn fat, it helps detoxify your body. When you start burning stored fat, you're releasing toxins that have been locked in those fat cells for years. That's why it's important to drink lots of water, support your liver with leafy greens, and make sure you're getting electrolytes, potassium, magnesium, sodium, to help your body flush everything out. As your cells detox, your immune system gets stronger and your entire system becomes more resilient. This isn't about starvation. People often confuse ketosis or fasting with deprivation, but they're opposites. Starvation is when your body lacks nutrients. Ketosis is when your body has enough nutrients and is simply using a cleaner, smarter fuel source. When you eat nutrient-dense whole foods and limit the carbs, your body gets everything it needs to function optimally: vitamins, minerals, amino acids, while cancer cells get nothing. And the beautiful part is this is 100% under your control. You don't need a prescription for it. You don't need expensive treatments to start supporting your body this way. You just need to understand how your metabolism works and start shifting the way you eat. Every time you choose healthy fats over sugar, every time you delay your first meal, every time you let your body tap into its fat reserves, you're taking power away from cancer and giving it back to yourself. So, when you move into ketosis, you're not just losing weight or improving energy, you're changing your internal chemistry. You're building an environment where cancer simply cannot thrive. It's not magic, it's not theory, it's science, and it's how your body was designed to heal. When we talk about stopping cancer growth, one hormone keeps coming up again and again: insulin. Most people know insulin only as the hormone that regulates blood sugar, but it's far more powerful than that. Insulin is also a growth hormone, and that's exactly why it plays such a big role in cancer development. Every time you eat, especially when you eat carbohydrates, your blood sugar goes up. The pancreas releases insulin to bring that sugar into the cells for energy. Now, if this happens once in a while, it's fine. But when you're eating all the time, breakfast, mid-morning snack, lunch, coffee with milk and sugar, dinner, dessert, insulin stays elevated almost the entire day. And that's when problems begin. High insulin means constant growth signals. It tells your cells, keep growing, keep dividing. But here's the thing, cancer cells love that message. They respond to insulin and another growth signal called IGF-1 tells insulin, like growth factor, like it's gasoline to a fire. So if your insulin and IGF-1 are always high, you are literally creating the perfect environment for cancer to grow and spread. Your body becomes a growth factory, and the cancer cells get the message that it's time to multiply. Now, insulin resistance makes this even worse. When you eat too many carbs for too long, your cells stop responding properly to insulin. The pancreas senses that and releases even more insulin to get the job done. This leads to chronically high insulin levels, a condition most people don't even realize they have. You don't need to be diabetic to have insulin resistance. In fact, millions of people walk around with normal blood sugar, but sky-high insulin levels, and that's what silently feeds cancer. So, how do you lower insulin naturally? The answer is not in another pill or medicine. The answer lies in changing when you eat. This is where intermittent fasting comes in. Fasting isn't a new idea. It's the oldest healing tool known to mankind. Our ancestors did it naturally because food wasn't available around the clock. But today we've forgotten how to let our bodies rest from constant eating. Intermittent fasting simply means you extend the time between your meals, giving your insulin a chance to drop and your body a chance to repair. When you fast, insulin levels fall. As insulin drops, the body switches from storage mode to healing mode. Growth signals calm down, inflammation decreases, and your immune system becomes more active. At the same time, another process called autophagy gets triggered. It's like a built-in cleaning system that removes damaged cells, proteins, and even pre-cancerous cells from your body. That's why fasting is so powerful. It doesn't just lower insulin, it also cleans up the mess high insulin created in the first place. Now think about what happens when you're constantly snacking. Even if it's something small, a biscuit, a piece of fruit, a handful of nuts, your insulin spikes. And every time it spikes, the healing process stops. Your body goes back into storage mode. Most people live their entire lives like this, eating 6 or 7 times a day without realizing they're keeping insulin elevated 24/7. That's why diseases like cancer, diabetes, and obesity are so common. The human body was never designed to eat this frequently. It was designed to go through cycles of eating and fasting. When you start fasting, maybe 16 hours of fasting with an 8-hour eating window, or even 18 and 6 or 1 meal a day later, your insulin gradually becomes balanced. You stop feeding the growth signals. Cancer cells lose their advantage because they depend on that insulin stimulation to grow. And as insulin drops, something amazing happens. Your growth hormone rises. Now, you might think that's the same as insulin, but it's not. Growth hormone during fasting doesn't cause abnormal growth. It helps repair tissues, preserve muscle, and burn fat. It's like your body goes into a rejuvenation mode. Another benefit of lowering insulin is improving insulin sensitivity. That means your cells start responding normally again. The pancreas doesn't have to work overtime anymore. Over time, your fasting insulin levels drop and your energy stabilizes. You're no longer riding the roller coaster of hunger and sugar cravings. When that happens, you're not only preventing cancer, you're protecting every organ in your body. The liver, the kidneys, the heart, the brain, all work better when insulin is balanced. Let's also talk about inflammation. Chronic high insulin is a major trigger for inflammation because it leads to fat storage in the liver and around organs. This type of inflammation keeps your immune system busy, distracted, and tired. A tired immune system can't identify or destroy cancer cells effectively. So by lowering insulin, you're indirectly strengthening your immune defenses. Your white blood cells, your T cells, your natural killer cells, all of them start functioning more efficiently in a low insulin environment. There's another fascinating effect of fasting and insulin control. It enhances mitochondrial function. Mitochondria are the energy factories inside your cells. When insulin is high, mitochondria become overloaded and start producing oxidative stress. That's damage from free radicals. But when insulin drops and your body uses fat for fuel, mitochondria get repaired and generate clean energy. Healthy mitochondria mean less DNA damage, and less DNA damage means less chance for cancer to start in the first place. Now, here's something that surprises people. Fasting doesn't make you weak. It makes you stronger. When you fast, your body becomes efficient at using stored energy. Your brain becomes sharper because it runs on ketones. Your focus improves, your energy stabilizes, and your mood becomes more balanced. These are all signs of a body that's healing, not suffering. It's only difficult in the beginning because we're addicted to the habit of eating frequently. Once you break that addiction, you'll realize how much energy your body was wasting on constant digestion. Many studies now show that intermittent fasting can make cancer treatments more effective. When you fast, your healthy cells go into a protective mode, but cancer cells don't. They become more vulnerable to stress because they can't adapt. That's why fasting before chemotherapy or radiation can sometimes reduce side effects and improve outcomes. It's like giving your body a shield while exposing the enemy. If you combine fasting with a low-carb, nutrient-dense diet, you create a metabolic environment that's completely hostile to cancer. Insulin stays low, sugar stays low, inflammation stays low, and your immune system finally gets the upper hand. Your body starts repairing itself the way nature intended. So the takeaway is simple. Every time you eat, your body either grows or heals. You can't do both at the same time. Constant eating keeps you in growth mode, and cancer loves that. Fasting switches you to healing mode, and cancer hates that. The power isn't in some external treatment, it's in learning how to manage your body's natural cycles. By controlling insulin through fasting, you're not just preventing disease, you're reclaiming the body's original intelligence to protect itself.